All right. Hopefully I did that right. We'll see. We'll see. I think I did
Yeah,
it right. Okay. Yeah. It says I'm live. All right.
yeah.
So, but I mean, it says I'm live on YouTube. I wonder if I'm live on Instagram though. So let me see here. Hey, can you go to Instagram and see if I got a live going on?
Yeah, I'll have a look now.
All right. Thank you. Sorry,
Mm.
everybody. I'm working out new things, and Blue's helping me because Blue's cool like it.
Not
So,
quite sure how much help I can be, but hey ho.
yep, you'll do just fine. I have full faith in you.
I don't think so.
Okay, so then let me see. I'm gonna go over here, and then I'm gonna click go live over here on this. Now we're live on Instagram.
Ooh.
I think we got it figured out now.
Yep, I just got a notification.
We figured it out. Me and
We
Blue.
figured it
Ah, that's what I'm talking about, Blue. Yeah. All right, guys. So thank you guys for joining us this evening. Sorry we're later than usual, but I wanted Blue to be on here, and that is why we moved it up to where I could get Blue on. Because whatever Blue needed is what we were going to do to make sure she was able to come on my live stream. So everybody, if you don't know who Blue is, Blue's at Blue Self Reliance. Thank you so much for taking your morning, your very early morning, to spend it with us here on Heavenly Hills Homestead, Blue.
You are very welcome. And yeah, this is like the crack of doom for me.
Right? Very, very early. See, she's up when I'm normally going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I usually go to bed around 1:32, get back up at 6. That's normally my deal. And that's why I stay so tired. But yeah, so thank you so much again for coming on here and doing this with me. I was very excited whenever you said that you would come on. And yeah, I love what you do over there. I love your videos and stuff. And I love your bubbly, cheerful UK self. You know, I love the UK people. Y'all are awesome. Yeah, all my friends over there are just awesome people. I love them, and I can't wait to one day get over there and hang out at one of the very cool pubs. I don't drink, but I'd go in there and maybe shoot some darts and play some pool and cheer some soccer on, you know, or football as you guys would call it, right?
Yeah. It's football for us. Yeah.
Yeah, football for you guys. Our football is a little different. We wear pads.
Yeah, I remember when I was a teenager that there was a American football team that came over to play rugby,
Right.
and they just thought that all the rugby players were utterly bonkers because they don't wear any protective gear.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
and it's a full-on, very physical kind of ball sport. So they were just like freaking out all over the place because they didn't have any stuff.
Rugby is a very, very, very hardcore sport. Like, and those guys are tough. I mean, if there was ever a rugby team around here when I was a kid, I would have played. I mean, it just always looked interesting to me, you know. So I kind of liked it. To us, it was like playing football, you know, because we played football, you know, for school, we had to wear pads. But then whenever we got home, we didn't wear pads and we played tackle without pads. So, I mean, that was like our rugby, you know. And you could always tell the kids who played football outside of school with no pads because those were the tough kids, and the rest of them they were kind of, or maybe they were maybe we were just little nuts or something. I don't know. Maybe it was smarter to play with pads and a helmet.
I don't know. I think, you know, Gen X, we really just didn't worry about safety equipment.
Right. Well, you know what? You know what's weird though? Here's the thing. I'm a millennial,
right?
And I didn't know that until a couple of years ago. And when I found out about it, I got seriously upset about that because people were labeled, you know, I'm like, yeah, these stupid millennials, I can't believe them, you know, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then I find out that I am one and I'm like, hang on a minute. No, that can't be right. That just can't be. Well, come to find out, I'm born in that weird time, right? Where Gen Z and millennials kind of blended together. And so I'm more like the Gen Zs than I am the millennial, right?
The Gen X's, not the Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen X's, that's right. And so I kind of blended in with them or whatever, and so I'm like in that weird time, right?
Well, you can be adopted as a Gen X if you're in that weird sort of
right. I mean, because I act a lot like them, and I was raised by a bunch of them, or because all my siblings and uncles and aunts were all Gen X. So I mean, yeah, but the rest of my cousins are definitely millennials. So so sad for them, right? But what years are what? So I think it's 1982 or 83 is whenever it flipped, something like somewhere around in there, or maybe it was the 1980s, like 1980.
It was late 80s, about 80, 87, 88. I think, the Gen X Council
right
have sort of said that anyone between 82 and 86
right because
can
I'm
be
85.
adopted.
Yeah. So see, I get adopted in. I'm 85. I'm in there. I'm in like Flint. Yeah. These millennials, the millennials are not my peeps. I can tell you that right now. Like no, they are not my people. So I was seriously upset whenever I found that out. That I was like, what? I don't want to be labeled a millennial. I don't want a snowflake. No. How dare them? I am nothing like that. So yeah, but that's cool. I get adopted in. Have you ever watched Veteran Dad Bod
Yes.
is he not?
I love him.
He's hilarious, isn't he?
He's brilliant.
Yeah, he always talks about the Gen X and the millennials and stuff, and that parallel is funny.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, right. Well, I mean, that's because y'all wasn't snowflakes, Tony. That's why y'all didn't get labeled snowflake because y'all wasn't snowflakes. Nowadays everybody has a meltdown. Oh goodness,
Yeah.
But all right. So enough about me and all that stuff. Let's talk about Bloo. Guys, if you don't know who Bloo is and you've not been to her channel, highly recommend you go over and check her channel out and subscribe to her channel. Follow her on Instagram as well. Bloo, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a nutritionist and things like that, but let everybody know who doesn't know exactly what you do.
Okay, so I'm a qualified nutritionist, dietitian, chef, and herbalist. I'm also just recently qualified as a naturopath as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I try every year to expand my brain somewhat.
That's right. Absolutely.
Because the more skills you have, the better off you are, to be fair.
Absolutely.
I do that, but I also teach what I've had to say are practical life skills, which I never actually thought was going to be a thing. But we've got a situation where within 3 generations, we now have a bunch of kids who can't cook, they can't clean, they can't look after a house, they can't look after themselves, they can't look after kids, they can't look after, they don't know how to do any of the things. They're completely reliant on shops and supermarkets and all of this kind of thing. And they're wondering why they can't cope.
Right. And you're right. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that people allowed things to get out of hand to where it took a 2-party household to be successful. Yes. When the fact of the matter is it should have never took a 2-party household or 2 working people, let me put it that way, in order to have a successful household. It should have never been that way. No. Rather, I don't care which parent stayed home, whether it was the dad or the mom, somebody needs to stay home and tend to the house and tend to the kids and, do all those, the house things that need done. While the other one is able to go out and provide. There was plenty of times growing up where my dad would be out of work because he was a coal miner and he was also a oil well driller, and sometimes he'd be out of work, and mom would work. She was a correctional officer at the prison, and she would work. But that and so we had somebody there, but then whenever both of them was gone. The old saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. Yes. It is so true, because when mom and dad were both gone away from the house, we played, and we played badly. right? We did things we shouldn't have done, right? Not because we wasn't brought up better than that, but because kids will always test the limits of what they can get away with, you know.
Yeah.
And they're influenced by the people around them. And sometimes when you're teenagers, the people around you are not so good, right? And so
Yeah.
ideas get put in your head, you try things out, and you end up getting yourself in a lot of trouble. But had there had been somebody home, those things would not have occurred, you know,
Yeah.
or at least they would not have occurred at my house. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's another thing that we've taken away, you know, is having somebody at the house. It's not just about somebody being there to cook and clean. It's about somebody being there to rule the house while the kids are home, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what happens though is while both the parents are gone, you know, they're not able to come home and cook, or they don't feel like cooking. You know, I mean, who feels like cooking after they've worked 8 to 10 hours a day, right?
Oh, I'm sure as heck
Nobody.
didn't when I was chefing. I can tell you that now because I used to do 18-hour split shifts.
Ooh, man.
You
That
know,
is
and I ran my own place. So my kids had come to work with me in the morning.
right.
They'd still be in their PJs. They'd have to get dressed. I'd give them breakfast down there. They'd go off to school. And then, you know, they'd come down there after school. And then
Right.
they'd get, you know, snacks and tea and all of that sort of stuff. And probably 5 nights out of 7, they'd be sleeping underneath the bar or in the back room.
Wow.
Before we came home, because I was a single mom.
Right. And that's rough.
You know?
That's rough.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, things like that are tough.
Yeah.
And people don't understand, you know, when there's situations like that where there's only one parent in the house or both parents are working, things have to be sacrifices have to be made, things have to be done.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, they were lucky, you know, you were a cook, so they got to eat good food that you were you know, preparing there. But a lot of these kids are not that lucky, you know. Well, there's hot pockets in the freezer, there's this, there's that. They're eating frozen foods and things that are not healthy for them. So then they grow up accustomed to that kind of life. And then that's what they raise their kids on, right? Is pop and hot pockets and whatever, because that's how they were raised, because mom and dad was legitimately too tired to come home and cook. And so that kind of lends to what you're talking about, you know, the 3 generations that we've gotten going on here, where we lost our way. You know, we're not cooking as much at home, if any at all. You know, we're relying on fast food. We're relying on the frozen section, right? We're not relying on nutritionally dense food for ourselves to be able to eat. And and so what are you seeing as far as the effects over in the UK? Because I'll give it to you guys. You guys have stricter food policies than what the U.S. has. I wish that the U.S. would put stricter policies on the food that we have to buy at the store more and mimic what you guys have over there. But what are you seeing specifically over there that kind of shows that that they've gotten away from nutritionally dense food and some of the effects that's going on over there?
Well, we've got 2 things that are really affecting that side of things over here right now. Well, actually, there's 3. One, people haven't had a pay rise in 15 years.
Right.
So not a legitimate pay rise.
Right.
You know, what I'm talking about is that they've been offered 6 cents, pence, whatever you want to call it, you know, maybe if they're lucky, you know, and we've ended up with now there's also the commonly called Brexit, which has put, you know, you've now got a country that is on its uppers as far as staff are concerned. So companies are getting away with not paying decent wages because people need the work.
Right.
You've also got a bunch of tariffs that are now coming in because obviously we're not part of the European Union anymore.
Right.
What people didn't realize when they voted for this was that we only produce 17% of the food we eat in this country.
Oh, wow. That's not much.
No, we are a small island nation with not enough farmland to actually feed the country. So we are very, very reliant on that. And because of all of the deals that were done after the whole
Breaks.
Brexit thing, our farmers are worse off now than they ever were, and the supermarkets aren't willing to pay them the money that their food is now worth, because
Right.
obviously electric's gone up, gas has gone up, all of the cost of living prices have gone up, feed prices have gone up, all of that sort of stuff. So you've got farmers who have been told by the supermarkets to dump 150,000 eggs because they won't let them sell them from the farm gate.
Wow.
Because they belong to the supermarket.
That's
Now, for
pitiful.
2 years, they were telling us it was avian flu, when in reality, what it was the supermarkets were too cheap to pay them what their eggs were worth.
That's crazy.
Which was absolutely crazy, and it is crazy.
Right.
We now have a situation where we have a third of the population in poverty, which is huge.
What's
worse is that 15% of those are in destitution, which means that they cannot meet their basic needs.
Wow.
15% of that number is either 75% of the population of Greater London, which is a huge city, it's the biggest city we've got.
Right.
Or it's the combined population of the next 4 biggest cities in the country.
Wow.
And when you look at it on those terms, 15% becomes a lot bigger an issue.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? So, and from I do keep a very close eye on what's going on in Parliament. I do. Who we have now really just don't care. They've never been in a situation, any of them, where they've ever had to scrape for bread, where they've ever had to worry about anything. I mean, our Prime Minister has 3 times the amount of money as the King himself.
What?
Yeah, and that's just him. And his wife is richer than him, and her father is one of the richest men in the world. So they've never had to scrape ever.
That's crazy.
You know, and the other side right now, they're not much better. They're doing U-turn after U-turn, and I'm surprised they're not sitting there all in neck braces. You know, seriously, right. A whiplash from what they're doing. But none of them seem to care. None of them have that thing that actually you're working for us. You're not telling us what to do. You are there to work for our greater good.
Right.
Now you're all behaving like toxic parents, like really abusive, toxic parents.
Sounds like exactly what goes on over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, people here are exhausted.
Right.
You know, and they've got them fighting amongst themselves. And there's more and more labels we have, and the more and more minorities we have, and the less that we're seen as a big group of people.
Right. Because
the
that's
more
what
we're not going to be on the same page, because we're all fighting amongst ourselves about these tiny little issues.
Right. That are really insignificant.
Mean nothing.
Right.
You know, but they've done such a good job of it that no one's going to get together and do anything about it.
Yep. That's exactly what goes on over here. You know, you know, you guys are the United Kingdom. You're England, you know, whatever you want to call it. Right. We're the United States. Right. I mean, united, you know, but that is the furthest thing that we are, not because that there is all this toxic stuff within the countries themselves. It's the propaganda that is pushed saying that there is, when in general, if you just go out into the community, everybody gets along. You know, everybody's like, hey, how you doing, man? What's up? No, you know, like one of my favorite YouTubers, Peter Santanella, right? He's got like over 1 million subs or something like that on YouTube. Huge guy. He was here in West Virginia.
Different communities, like he's been around the Amish community and stuff like that. Yeah, I really love his stuff. He's good.
Yes, he is awesome. So he's came here in West Virginia, and you know, because West Virginia is one of the biggest poverty-stricken states in America. All right. In fact, one of the counties here is like the lowest in the nation. And they've been hit the hardest with the opioid crisis, right? And so you know, he came here, he's went down south, and you know, he was going down there to search for this racism that's down south, you know, and he's like, I haven't found any of this.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, you hear about it on the news all the time, but where is it?
Mhm.
Because I cannot find it anywhere. And I've been everywhere in this country, and
Yeah.
everybody gets along. Everybody's like, hey, how you doing, brother? And they don't look at each other as being different colors. You're my brother. You're my sister. You're whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, so where's this racism at? And the guys down south, they were like, you tell us, because we don't see it either.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they weren't saying that there isn't racist people or whatever out there, because we all know that there is, but it is such a minority. It is not the majority. It is literally like a little bit here or there, like maybe 1 out of 1,000 or something, right?
Yeah.
And they're acting like it's just huge. And so, but you're right, that's how they keep us fighting amongst ourselves. And that's how they keep us distracted away from what they're doing. I think that's very interesting, though, that the leader of parliament has more money than the king himself.
Yeah.
That is
the king only
incredible.
has a certain amount of money, but what we're talking about is the entirety of the crown. Okay, so he obviously has his very own money,
right?
Because he works and he has a job and he has his own money,
right?
But the crown is a trust, and that entails all the buildings, all the land, all of the combined wealth.
Okay.
And all of that sort of stuff. He has 3 times that amount.
He has 3 times the amount of what your country is worth?
Of what the crown in total is worth. Yes.
That is insane.
Yeah.
When you talk about, because you said that the crown entails the money, the buildings and things, right? Like everything that Britain owns, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And he's got 3 times the amount.
Yeah.
Oh my
he's
God.
Worth 3 times that. And he's also been at a time when our schools are literally, their roofs are caving in due to using cheap building materials. He went and put a $25 million donation to a university over in the States to build a new wing.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious.
What was the university over here that he gave money
to? I can't remember if it begins with an S.
Stanford?
That's all I can tell you. But yeah, I can't remember if it's San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, something. But yeah, something over there. But it was one of those. And yeah, he and his family donated $25 million to them to build a new wing.
That's incredible. When your own country, when your own countrymen's kids are in dilapidated buildings.
Yes.
And you donate it to a college that don't need it because they get government funding from the states to prop them up.
Which tells you where his priorities lie.
Right.
He has a plan of when he's not prime minister anymore, and it doesn't involve being here.
Right.
Right.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
That is incredible. That's
okay. We don't want him.
Right. Are y'all allowed to vote him out? Like, I've never understood.
Get back in.
Huh?
They're 20 points down at the moment. There is no way. People's eyes are opening to what they've been doing,
right?
Especially in the last few years, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, they're opening a little bit too far, and they've gone down too far another rabbit hole. And it's like, okay, now you guys need to come back further into the middle a bit,
right?
Right. You don't need to go that far.
They can't help it. They're all like that. They can't help it. It's one extreme or the other
with most people, and I'm in the middle. There's stuff I like on that side.
Right.
There's stuff I like on that side, but it's more a middle range for me, because extremism in any side is basically
toxic.
What we're facing at the moment is Hitler versus Stalin.
Right.
And that's what we're facing in our parliament right now.
That's incredible.
Because that's what we've got.
It's the same way here. Yeah, it's the same way here. Nobody can stay in the middle. It's my team versus your team, and my team's going to win. And the only way that my team wins is if I get really extreme. And it's like, that is not how this should work. There's first of
No.
all, I don't really we don't really talk politics around here, but I will because
Yeah.
not much, but a little bit. I'll indulge a little bit here.
That's okay.
You know, I've never been one to be like, oh yeah, I like this one or that one. You know, because it always got on my nerves that there was a two-party system.
Yeah.
Because anytime that you have a two-party system, then that leads to having a team favorite.
Yes.
And instead of people voting for the policies and the issues, they will vote because of team, right?
Yes.
And that should never be the case. We should vote on the policies and the issues that we're facing, not whose team's going to win out. And what you see and what we seen last week with the State of the Union address was my team versus your team, right? Yeah, and it's sickening because we, the people, need the team, not this team or that team. We need the team, a team, everybody united to move forward and do better. And it's always, well, we got to one up you, or we got to make you look bad, or whatever. And it's sickening to me. So I've never liked having a two-party system, and I've never liked the fighting and the strife that's come with that because of that. It's always agitated me because it's like, why do we need to know whether you're on the left or the right? Why don't you keep that to yourself and you just talk about the issues and the policies, and we'll make a decision on what we're going to vote. Yeah. I think if everybody kept it secret on what they are, that would be really beneficial. Like
it doesn't have anything to do with who you are as a person.
Right. Exactly.
Well, in some cases it might, but very few.
Right. Right. Because
I think people aren't willing to have adult conversations anymore. They want to yell at each other and scream at each other, and that's not going to get anything achieved.
No.
All that is bullying.
Yep.
You wouldn't put up with it from a partner, so why are you going to put up with it from somebody else?
Exactly. Well, you think about it. The best marriages are people who can work together and be like, okay, this was my fault. Your way was better. You know what I mean? Concede to that and fix it, right? Not be stubborn and bullheaded and be like, oh, I'm not, it's my way or the highway, which is what we have in basically all world government right now. It's all our way or the highway. We've all seen what people have been doing in France and Germany with all the tractors going everywhere and we have
that here too.
Did you guys do that too?
We did that too. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great because
it took them a while to get organized.
Right. But it's good. Yeah. It's good. I mean, it's good because that's what we need to do. We need to show them like it's us. You guys don't even matter. We're the issues out here,
Yeah.
I've always wondered this though. Can you explain to me how that works? I've always been interested in like how did so is the king and the queen just simply like for show now?
Pretty much.
So they don't really rule anything then. They don't really
have the ability to shut down Parliament.
Okay.
They do have certain things that they can do. It's just no one's done it.
Okay.
To be honest, if I was queen, I'd have them all out. Gone. See ya. Right. This is probably why I'm not queen. Let's be fair.
Right. We should get you for queen, but you got to have nobility for that, right? And like, how does that even work out?
I do have that actually.
You got nobility?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, my Nana Lucy, who you can see some of her recipes that I've been doing over the last couple of years.
Right.
Her mother was the only daughter of the Earl of Sefton.
That's cool.
But because she ran away from home and married a wheelwright, which was very beneath her, let's be fair.
Right.
He disowned her, which meant the title went back to the crown.
Oh, man. That's
She was completely disowned, yet she had 8 children.
Oh, wow.
and was very happy by all accounts.
But you know what? That's what I guess at the end of the day, what really mattered, right? That she was happy,
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of times back in those days, they were pretty much wedded before they even met the man, pretty much, right? Like this is who you're going to marry, and there ain't you ain't getting out of it, right?
In many cases, it was organized when they were children.
Isn't that crazy?
That was the way it went, and the only way that they could get out of that is if the man turned around and said, "Well, I don't want to marry you,"
right?
And he would have to come up with a much better option. So, for example, if the woman's family hit hard times, he could turn around and say, "Well, you're not worthy of us anymore," and literally be thrown out on the street, kind of thing.
Wow.
But other than that, that's he could turn around and say, "Well, this was arranged by our parents. They're not alive anymore. You go do your thing. I don't really want to be here with this. I want to go and do this." So they would release each other. But also it meant that if you made a promise to someone, or it was an implied promise,
right,
you could sue them if they didn't marry you.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So there was an implied promise there. So say for example, because back in the day there were players then too, let's be fair.
Right.
And they left devastation in their wake, but more so then than now, you could ruin a girl, completely ruin her, just by having her staying out all night.
Right.
Because even if they did nothing, it would be implied they did. So therefore he would have to marry her.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of entrapment that went on that way.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is very, very, very crazy.
It is bonkers.
I always thought it was interesting, though, like watching movies and listening to some of the things that I've listened to from over there. Y'all have got a very, very rich history over there. Like, and it's just full of like very, very cool things, that I love. I love knowing about. It's very cool. How? One question before I forget: how far are you away from Clarkson's farm?
I'm not sure, and to be honest, he's not someone I want to be anywhere too close to.
Oh, okay, all right.
I used to live further down south. I used to live in a place called Milton Keynes, and I had friends that lived just in the surrounding villages, and I used to visit them on a regular basis. And at one point, he was picking up his children and literally screaming at the top of his voice at other parents at the school. And I was like,
really?
Yeah. So I don't have a lot of time for him.
Okay.
I've heard that he's mellowed somewhat since having the farm.
Right.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And I'm always one to give someone a second chance. But when I witness really awful behavior for no apparent reason, apart from the fact that, when they're slinging around words like, "Do you not know who I am?"
Oh,
that's kind of, that's like, oh, dude, really?
Yeah. I mean, you're only the top gear dude. You're not the king. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. It wouldn't even matter if it was the king, because even if the king was doing that, I would be like, really, dude?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy who used to say to people, "Don't you know who my daddy is?" Like, because his daddy was the vice president of the company we worked for.
Yeah.
And so he would go around going, "Don't you know who my daddy is? You know who my daddy is?" Like, it's like all the time he would say, and I'm like, "BJ, can you like tone that down, bro?" Well, I'm just asking if everybody knows that your daddy is the VP, bro. Like, we don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I had to bust him out one day because I got tired of hearing it. But I know exactly what you're saying. Like, what does it matter who you are? You're like, you're just another person. You put your pants on the same way I do.
Exactly. Like, I've had people, well-known people, come and eat where I've worked or in my own restaurant, and they've pulled stuff on my staff. And I've literally come out of the kitchen and gone, who do you think you are?
Right.
You know, you don't get to treat my staff that way. I don't care who you are.
That's
I don't
right.
care how much money you have. I don't care how much clout you have. Because
Right.
in here,
You're the boss. That's right.
Yeah, you don't like it? There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out.
Exactly.
And I learned very early on that you do not let people like that swing their tackle at you.
That's right.
Absolutely. Mine's bigger.
Yep. I know what you mean. Exactly. And I'm right there with you. I didn't know he was like that because all I've ever seen was him on Top Gear and on Clarkson's farm. And I thoroughly enjoy watching him screw up the farm. You know? So,
oh, yeah.
I mean,
I've been
enjoy it.
Really careful not to watch it. I've kind of been tempted, but then I was like, oh, no, this is just going to annoy me, I think.
If you've not watched it, watch it because it's funny.
Okay.
He screws up the farm so many times, and the people around him give him what's it called? Pot squatty, Papa squat. Oh, what is it called? I might have to Google it now. It's something like that. I can't think of the name, but it's hilarious. Let me see here. I can't think of it. Let me see. Clarkson's farm. Is let me see. I guess I'm gonna say is called Diddley Squat. That's what it was. Diddley Squat Farm. Yeah.
Yeah. Diddley Squat Farm.
Yeah, Diddley Squat. And let me tell you something. He does Diddley Squat there because he messes it all up. Like
I bet he does.
I can't wait. Season 3 comes out in May, and I'm excited because the past 2 seasons he has royally screwed that place up.
Wow.
You should see what he does with a tractor. Like,
oh, I can imagine what he does with a tractor.
You would think somebody who drives for a living could do fairly well with a tractor, right? Oh, it's horrible.
I've seen what he's done to caravans in the past. I'm not convinced.
That's funny. He has messed some stuff up. He has.
Oh yeah.
Man. I'm telling you, that dude. But yeah, oh man, that's the stuff he does. It's like wow, like that's insane. Why would you even think you could get away with doing something like that? But the people around Diddley Squat have given him such a hard time trying to get permits and stuff. Oh, yeah. You'll love it. You will get good out of seeing all the heartache he has to go through.
So the reality of that is getting permits for stuff is a reality over here that there are a lot of councils that unless you're willing to grease the wheels, will not do it. There's a YouTuber, Jeff, who runs Brimwood Farm down in Sussex, and he inherited 11 acres off his grandfather. And he's been trying desperately to get permission to get a house built. But they wouldn't do it.
That's sad.
And he had to go through the vets. He had to go through the doctors. He's had to go through a bunch of other government officials that have said he needs to be living on the farm. He has livestock.
Right.
You know, because before he was living like 30 miles away.
Oh, wow.
You know, and in 1 year he lost a bunch of lambs because he wasn't able to be there on site because they didn't have anywhere that he could be. Right. He's now got the permission to build the house, you know, and hopefully he'll be able to fix a better barn than he's got, because at the moment what he's got is like a hay barn,
right,
which is just the metal roof with poles.
Just poles, kind of thing. We call it pole barn.
So that's what he has at the moment. But he's trying to deck it out to overwinter some of his animals and stuff like that. But so he'll be moving forward with some of that finally. You know,
it doesn't seem to me, from the things that I've watched and the things that I've now heard from you, it doesn't sound like the UK, even at 17%, cares that it gets any higher than 17%. For you guys producing your own food. It doesn't seem like they care.
I don't think that probably 99% of the population realize, number one.
Okay.
It's not something that they toss around.
Right.
They don't want people to know that.
Right. Well, why would you? Right.
Exactly. I mean, we do very little manufacturing in this country at all anymore. Most of it was outsourced.
Right.
So we don't have that to fall back on. So anything that we have that we can export our services, really.
Right.
During when the cost of living crisis started, we got a massive tomato farm down in the Isle of Wight. They were taking down heated greenhouses because they couldn't afford to run them anymore.
That's sad.
You know, and there was never any backup for that. But then people can't afford to buy a lot of stuff that we do produce in this country.
Right.
And that's the bigger issue right now. I would dearly love to go to the farmer who is less than 10 miles away and buy our meat from them.
Right.
But I can't afford to buy one piece of meat that'll probably do us maybe, I could make it stretch, let's be fair. I could make it stretch.
Right.
To maybe 2 weeks worth of meals if that's the meat that we bought and used every single day.
Right.
For $65. Now, when you think about that, like that would be a beef roast, just a general beef roast.
Right.
Okay. £65 is £5 less than some people are getting a week here to live on.
Wow.
So they don't have the money to do that either. So now you've got a situation where the prices are skyrocketing because farmers have to put those prices up. Let's be fair.
Right.
You know, they've got higher costs of everything else, but people can't afford to buy from them. And everyone says, oh, you need to buy British. You need to buy British. Well, if the British aren't being paid enough to buy the food locally, how can you buy British?
Right.
You know?
Well, and I totally understand that. You know, this weekend I was being asked by some people how much pigs were going for, and I said, right now, I said about 100 to 125 for a piglet, and they were like, "What?" They were completely shocked, and I said, "That's what it is right now. It's about 100 to 125 for a 6-week-old, 8-week-old piglet." Wow. And they were like, "Why is it so much?" And I said, because the feed and everything so much now. I mean, the farmers have to raise their prices. And they were like, well, a few years ago it was like $60 or 50 to $60, and sometimes you can find them for 35 and 40. And I said, I know. I said, but that was then, and this is now, and you can't find them for that. No. And they were like, well, what do your coonies go for? And I said, well, if my coonies ever have babies, I said, I'll probably sell them for about $1.25, $1.50, which is super cheap for a cooney pigs. But I don't want to hang on to them and all that, so I'll let them go for cheaper. But that would still be putting me at a deficit. I mean, I still wouldn't make any money. That would just be, getting rid of them. So that I don't have to hold on to them anymore, right? But the fact is like you said, it's so much to feed them that the farmers can't let you have it for a good price, because at 65, they're probably barely making a profit, if any.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's hard is, everybody, buy local, shop local, this, that, we hear it all the time, but it's very hard to do that when Walmart and Sam's and all these other places are banging them out for super cheap. Because
they're legislated to be allowed to.
Right. They shouldn't be
allowed.
And
that's what annoys me. They should not be allowed to. It should be the same rules as we have for milk over here. No one is allowed to put their prices up. It's a flat price across the board, right?
That's great.
It has to be kept that way.
Yep.
all other food should be kept that way.
Absolutely.
And by food, I mean fresh ingredients.
Yep.
I'm not talking about cans. I'm not talking about frozen. I am talking about fresh, seasonal ingredients. There should be a cap.
Right. There should be.
There
Absolutely.
should be a cap.
Yep.
And they shouldn't be allowed to do that. Now, I didn't realize, but this was legislated back in the 1970s here.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Where supermarkets could actually drop their prices and they could be a lot more competitive than the local corner store that wasn't allowed to do it. So the corner store is not allowed to do it. And they're the ones that are run by,
mom and pop stores.
Yeah. So they're going to be more expensive than supermarkets because the supermarkets have this legislation that allows them to cut prices. Which is why you've always got these wars going on between the supermarkets. That's
so wrong. I just learned the other day that in as far as I know, it's in America, but I'm not sure if it's worldwide, but I know at least in the US, there are 3 major companies that buy cattle.
Yeah.
And those three major companies set the price for the cattle farmer.
Yes.
And that's what the cattle farmer is getting. And the cattle farmer can't go anywhere else but those 3 places to sell his cattle.
Yep.
And I forget the ratio, but I believe it was like 80% profit for those 3 companies versus the like very, very marginal profit for the cattle farmer. Yeah. Right. And I was like, holy cow, like the farmer gets nothing. And these 3 companies are allowed to bankroll all this money, and it's insane. Where's the protection for the farmer, versus these greedy corporations, because let's face it, at the end of the day, these corporations aren't going to farm these cattle. They wouldn't even know where to begin, but they're allowed to set the price on what the cattle farmers get. And I mean, you can go a different route if you want, but you're not going to make any money, right? No. And like let's say I wanted to start a little cattle farm, right? And I went and started getting, a few cattle every year to raise up, in a year and a half or whatever, and butcher them out. There are stipulations to how I'm allowed to even do that.
Yep.
Like the majority of the time, I can't even take the cow, have it butchered, and sell you the meat. I have to sell you the cow first. Yeah. And then you have to go get it butchered.
Wow.
And pay for it, right? Like I can't even. So then, like if you only wanted, X amount of T-bone steaks, X amount of roasts, and X amount of tenderloin or whatever, and hamburger, I'm not allowed to sell you that. I have to sell you either half or whole cow, and then go to the butcher. And then somebody else, you have to figure out who else will buy the other half before that cow is ever put down. So, I mean, I would be at a total disadvantage for that, Yeah. Because if I took those 5, I mean, let's face it, if I raised up 5 cattle for a year and a half, butchered them all, packaged them all, and sold them all individually for what people wanted, I could make money.
Yeah.
And not a lot, but some. But there's no money to be made when I have to sell you half or whole cow.
No.
I don't get any money then.
And that's the point.
Right. That's the point.
That's the point.
It kind of sounds like that's how you guys are over there. Like you guys
have got absolutely.
These quirky, rules, laws, whatever you want to call them, to where the normal person can't make money, but the corporations can make a butt ton of money.
Oh yeah.
And goes right back.
The corporations are also buying. See, I've had a major issue with corporations ever since ever since my kids were little. Okay, so my kids are in their 30s.
Right.
Right. So when they were really young, and I mean my youngest was 2. I think. He was around 2. My oldest was around 7. There were major droughts that were hitting parts of Australia. And we lived in Yass, which is a little bit south from Canberra, if that helps geography wise.
Right.
The farmers there were being paid by the supermarkets $1.25 a head for lamb.
Wow.
Because the supermarkets were saying it was substandard. Right?
Substandard.
And yet the butchery in the supermarket, which bought the local lamb, that had it in their store in the same town we lived in, and they were buying it from local farmers because they kept it as close to the supermarkets as possible.
Right.
Started selling it not for, it had been something like $6 a kilo, which is like 2.2 pounds or something. That price went from $6 to $27 overnight.
Wow.
The price has never dropped in that time, and now it's gone up further.
That's incredible.
Now, for that money, I could go to my friend and go, I'll buy your sheep from you.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And I still wouldn't have paid as much as they were asking for a leg of lamb.
Right.
Or a half leg, because that's when all these half legs and bits came in.
Right.
You know, because you were no longer buying a full leg anymore.
Right. We couldn't afford to. Right. Well, I mean, you couldn't afford to buy the whole leg.
Well, no, you couldn't afford to buy the whole leg. You know, so I used to pay my friend to raise a sheep for me. You know, and he'd put a cow in my field.
Right.
You know, and there was a pig in the orchard.
Right.
You know, because we had a little bit of property. We didn't have a lot.
Right.
But we had enough to do a little bit of looking after different animals.
Right.
And the animals that I raised, I ended up getting my own butcher's license. I ended up getting the abattoir license because that's, you know.
What's that?
Abattoir license is where you can end the animal.
I got
you. Let's be careful with what we're saying here, right?
Yeah, I got you.
You can end the animal, and because you have that license, it means you can sell the meat to others.
Okay.
With just a butcher's license, you can do it for yourself, but you cannot give that or sell that meat to anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's crazy.
Which is bonkers because it was an extra $700.
And that's all it was about.
That was all it was about. It was just the money.
Yeah.
You know,
because
$200 to get yourself a butcher's license. It was $750 to go and get yourself an abattoir license.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and doing the same stinking thing. Just calling it a different name. Yep. Just call it a different name.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, if you think about all the little things like that, right? Like no difference between butchering and the abattoir. Is that what you said?
Abattoir license.
Abattoir, yeah. All right. So there's no difference in that, but the name, right? And that's all they make money off of is the name, you know, and then charge people just so they can make more money. And wonder, you have somebody at some point, somebody has to wonder, where did all this money go? What did it go for? What is it? I mean, it just poof into thin air, right? Just gone.
Yeah.
And like here, there are tons of rules like that, that don't make sense for the same thing. Basically, just call it a different name.
Yep.
And you have to go to a different class for it, but the class is pretty much the exact same as the other class.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's legitimately like if you were in school, for somebody who don't know, right? Like this would be like taking algebra twice and having to pay a higher price for it the second time around.
Yes.
Like that's basically what it is. So if anybody don't know, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, what in the world?
Why?
Yeah. Why? You know? So, you got all these different licenses though. You're a herbalist. nutritionist, dietitian, all these things.
Mm.
What was the process like with those? Was it easy to get those, or did they make it hard to get those? Or
No, that I went to school for that.
okay,
Where my business was, the bistro that I ran, it was across the road. It was actually in a bowls club, lawn bowls club, and I took over the lease on the restaurant there on
what's
the
a
bistro.
bowls club?
Okay, so it's not like bowling, which is 10-pin bowling.
Right.
What it is, it's like lawn bowls. So it's usually the old people,
like balls like this big.
It's like a little white ball, and you've got to aim at it with this black ball, and the black ball's flat on one side and round on the other, so it doesn't roll straight.
Right.
So there is a little bit of nuance to it.
Okay.
That's about as much as I want. No, not bocce. Absolutely not bocce. If you get seen throwing a ball, you'll get removed off the lawns, because they spend thousands on these lawns.
Like golf, like a golf lawn.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So, but it's also an Olympic sport. I did not realize that.
Oh, really? Olympics?
Yeah, I did not know. It's an Olympic and Commonwealth Games sport. I had no idea about that.
That's cool.
Until I worked there. But across the road from them was an allergy center. And so I'd get people in asking, do I have anything that, that they could eat?
Right.
And my thing has always been feed the people. It's always been that, Right. So I went and I went to the allergy center, and I spoke to the guy who ran it, and I spoke to some of the doctors there, and I learned a lot from them. So they suggested that if I really wanted to look into this on a chef's level, then I should go and get a dietitian nutritionist's degree. Well, they're two separate degrees. So I did.
Right.
And I was studying for those while I was running my business, while I was raising the kids, while I was doing everything else. So I got those. They weren't 4 years. They took me 3. Because I think they took into account the fact that I was already a chef and experienced and all that kind of stuff, which gives you credits, which is great because I failed high school. So, I still got in somehow. And I was lucky that the guys who were across the road from me actually took me in for my practical side of things, because you have to do a certain amount of hours.
Right.
I did go away for 6 months, and I went up to Misty Mountain, which is a retreat up in Queensland. It was run by, oh God. Sorry, I've got to look a name up.
You're good.
I've got to look a name up, and this is ridiculous. Barbara O'Neill. Okay, so Barbara O'Neill, you'll see floating around the place on YouTube doing a lot of
I know her.
Information. Yep. And
she's a very good, very smart, and they don't like her at all.
No. She's actually banned from teaching in Australia.
Oh, wow.
That occurred because her husband started a political party, and because they couldn't go for him, they went for her.
Uh-huh.
She hasn't actually done anything wrong. They found that she's done nothing wrong. She's completely been vindicated of everything, but they still banned her from ever teaching in Australia again.
That's sad.
Which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It is, because she is a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yep.
And what I learned from her, I can't even tell you. It's just like, it's mind-blowing. I've probably forgotten half of it. But I go back and I watch her stuff because I know, but I also can get hold of her and say,
Oh, wow. You can get a hold of her too?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It takes a while to get an answer back because she's a very busy lady. But
I bet she is. I mean, that's awesome though.
Yeah. But, when you do study and you do these things, and it's like, it's really cool. But I did 6 months up there. And it was just after that all that stuff kicked off. So I knew what was going on, and I knew what was happening. So yeah, but then I went back, and because I had some other people running my place for a while, they kind of didn't do it like I was.
Right.
So it didn't do so well.
Uh-huh.
And it tanked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I still had my qualifications at that point, and I'd gotten through my dietitian and nutritionist degrees, and I got those, and I was still a chef, so I could still go and do work. But at that point, we decided that we would go and live in the middle of nowhere, basically.
Oh, that's cool. Right.
And work there, and have some land so that we could do the things that we wanted to do, and kind of went from there, really.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It is. So you learned a lot from her on the herbalist side then.
Oh, yeah.
What all things is like, a lot of people are so, let's face it, there's so much disinformation anymore.
Oh, yeah.
About everything.
Yeah.
That when it comes to herbalists and stuff, you're automatically a quack, right?
Yeah.
I have legitimately seen benefits to eating different foods, purple foods with anthocyanins in them, nutritionally denser foods that we grow here because we got healthy soil, and herbs that are around the yard, maybe not herbs like you're thinking, like some people would think, well, like basil and oregano and rosemary, but your wild edibles, right? That are medicinal purpose foods, wild lettuce, mullein, dandelion, all these different things, right? Goldenrod, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, I'm allergic to goldenrod. Well, it's not really the goldenrod you're allergic to. It's the other thing that I can't remember, but it comes up with the goldenrod.
Yes.
And that's what but you see the goldenrod, so you assume that it's the goldenrod you're allergic to, but it's actually the other plant that you're allergic to. And the goldenrod is the medicine for the allergy for that.
For the other thing. It's like when you see nettles growing, you'll see dock.
Right.
Or those dock leaves stop the burning, the itching from the nettles.
That's cool.
So you'll always find the antidote with the plant that gives you the issue.
And isn't that crazy?
It is, but it's the way it is, and it's really cool. But what I will say is this: it's great to do herbalism, and it's great to do herbal medicine and stuff like that. But you really need to study it properly.
Yep.
Don't just take things because someone said it was a good idea. There's a lot of contraindicators when it comes to medication and people's health issues and stuff, which is why I very, very rarely will say anything online about my herbalism, because I don't want to spread misinformation or give someone an idea that they can take something and then all of a sudden it messes up what they're already on or messes up their pre-existing condition.
That's right.
Because for example, someone came to me for something to do with a flu type cough or something, and they didn't tell me they had an underlying heart condition.
Right.
So I could give them something which would, to you and I, be just normal stuff, kitchen herbs, that kind of thing.
Right.
But it could have really bad effects for them.
Right.
So it's like St. John's wort. It's great for those who can take it, but it has the longest list of contraindicators that you can imagine.
Right.
Women who are taking, birth control can't have it because it negates the birth control.
Right.
So, let alone anything else that can happen with it.
Right.
So as much as it's a great thing, it really, really is for those who can take it.
Right.
But it's learning those things as well. And absolutely. I see so many people going, oh, yeah, well, you can do this and you can do that and you can do, and I'm like, oh, please stop.
Right.
Please stop.
You need to put in a disclaimer in there this is what I do. You don't do it unless you are comfortable with doing it or something, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, part of my channel, I was going to be doing stuff like that. And I think there's only one video that's left because YouTube took them all down. So I have another channel on another streaming
Yep.
place
Rumble.
where that stuff's going to be going along with the videos that I'm already doing. There will be those coming, but that will be in a few months' time.
Right.
You know, because I have things coming up that's going to take my time away for a bit.
Right. Right.
I don't have a favorite book. I would suggest to you to get all of them.
Yep. They're all good.
To get all of them, and not just, but you have to be discerning as well. Okay. The reason I say be discerning is because there are books that are coming out on foraging and herbalism and stuff like that. They're actually written by AI.
And
people have been getting hurt.
Yep.
If you are going to buy a book, you need to check out the author.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing they've written.
Right.
Don't. If they've got no reviews, don't.
Right.
You know, be very, very careful. You know, there's all kinds of books. I mean, you can get things that like old-fashioned books like Thomas Culpeper. That's a really good one just to learn some of your basic herbs. Some of the information in that you need to be a little wary of, and we're a little bit more wary of it these days than before, but it's a really good one for, you know, learning what herbs are out there and what they can be used for. But there's also, I think it's the Red Emperor, which is a Chinese medicine book.
Oh, okay.
So that's actually quite highly sought after within the herbalist community to get that, and you can get newly produced copies of it, so it's not so difficult. But it also, you want to be really careful about some of this stuff. Try and get books that are based for your area if you can, because for example, for me to have goldenrod, I have to go and buy seeds.
Okay.
It's not natively grown here. If you live in a specific country, there is possibility that your genetic makeup, your DNA and all of that sort of stuff and all your body is specific to that country.
Right.
And will work better with native herbs than it will do with something that comes from somewhere else.
Right.
So it's looking at that and taking a lot of this stuff into consideration as well when you do things. Yeah. It's kind of like, for example, you live where you live and all of a sudden you get dumped in Thailand.
Right.
Okay. Different culture, different food,
different everything,
spices, different herbs. All of a sudden your body rejects everything. You know, it's like when you go to India, it's usually called Bombay belly.
Right.
Okay. So, you know, but it's the same thing. It's because you are not used to that food. You are not used to the germs. You're not used to the bacteria. You're not used to any of that stuff.
Right.
So it's, your body then has to adapt. But in a medical situation, if you're in a situation where you need to do this stuff, then you don't have that kind of time frame for your body to adapt.
Right.
So using what is native first and then aftercare may be something that is not as native. It's probably a good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree, you know, but you know, there, like, I want to go back to the thing that you mentioned where you said, you know, our DNA and stuff, you know, could be, you know, is kind of geared toward what we're around.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because bees, they say that the honey from the area get local honey, because that honey has a lot of things in it that will help you, because of the area you're in. You know, so don't go get honey from 30 miles away if you've got honey that's only 2 or 3 miles away, right? And because it has so many things in there that can help you. If I'm not mistaken, and I'd have to go back and read it, but I believe what I had read in that was that the honey can actually help with allergies, with the
Yes.
allergens that you might have to certain plants around there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting, and that it might not be good if you get honey that's way down the road, because they might not have that plant in that area that the
Yeah.
bee's getting on, and you've got the allergy to the plant because it's there in your yard, in your vicinity. And
Exactly.
so I thought that was very interesting and stuff. So yeah, I can
Yeah,
totally
they're
see that.
plant-specific antihistamines,
Yes,
but it's
yes,
only in raw honey. If you pasteurize it in any way, shape, or form, you've killed it.
right, exactly.
But yeah, I would normally say about 1 mile, 2 miles at most.
Yep.
Make friends with your local beekeeper.
Absolutely. Or
You know,
if you can, get bees yourself. If you're
well, yeah.
allowed to have
I
them.
mean, my neighbors would be a little bit cross if I did that, I think.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I'm going to try to get bees this year, either buy them, or I know where there's a tree at that's full of bees. And so I've been
Ooh,
thinking about going up there and getting them out of there. I'm just putting the boxes down beside them
yeah.
and putting pheromone in the box and get them a swarm to the box. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing.
That's
Because
a great idea.
yeah, well, I mean, you think about this. Those bees are totally adapted to this environment
Yes.
because they're living in that tree. So
Yeah.
and then after I get them out of the tree, I want to go cut that tree down and get all the honey in that tree out of there, because I am thoroughly curious how much honey is in this dead tree that they're in.
Oh,
Because
I
it's
say there's a
massive.
bit.
It is a massive. I can't wrap my arms around it. Right, like
Wow.
at the base where it's at. I can't wrap my arms. So it's huge, and I'm like, seriously, like the old man that I do a lot of stuff around, like help cut hay and everything with him. It's on his property, which is right here by the lake behind my house. And I was getting some wood back in the fall, like late November, so I could come here and build some stuff with it off of his. It was all of his throwaway wood. And I seen these bees, and I was like, oh crap, those are yellow jackets. And I was like, well, I better go tell Tommy there's this tree's full of yellow jackets.
Yeah.
I went up there and I said, hey, Tommy, I said, I'm over there by that first pile of slab boards that you got up there. And I was like, there's a big tree and there's yellow jackets flying out of it. And he said, those ain't yellow jackets. I said, well, what do you mean? I said, they look kind of like it. I said, I didn't get a real good look because I seen bees and I left, And he was like, those ain't yellow jackets. Those are honeybees. And I was like, can I have them? And he was like, well, there was supposed to be a guy come and get them. And that guy's never showed up. And I don't think he's going to. So I'm going to go talk to him and be like, hey, Tommy, can I get them bees out of there now? So yeah. And then extract the honey. So
yeah.
Because I mean, could you imagine how much honey's in that tree? I mean,
that'd be amazing.
Depending on how big the hollow is in it, but
they'll feel it. They will feel it.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much good from herbal stuff, right? I mean, I'm just learning, and I'm like, wow, like this is some legit stuff. This legitimately can help you. It can help depression. It can help anxiety. It can help stomach issues. It can help blood pressure issues. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So why rely on the big farm? Okay, that's what we'll call it, right? When you can rely totally on things that you can either grow or that grow wild, and that you can go out and harvest yourself. You save a ton of money, but not only the money, it's healthier for you.
Yes.
Because just because you take, let's say you took wild lettuce for pain, okay? There's not a list of things on there that's a mile long of, well, if you do this, it could give you this, and this. And if you take it for more than 6 months, you're going to have to take something else to counteract that.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that when you take this stuff. And so,
I mean, you do with some.
Right, with some.
You do with some.
Right.
But, because some are a little bit more potent than others, shall we say?
Right.
We have a very famous stately home over here that has what's known as the poison garden.
I don't guess I've ever heard of that.
Oh yeah. You have a look for the poison garden, and
Okay.
it's a specific walled in, gated, locked up garden that every plant in there is poisonous.
Wow.
People have been known at certain times of year to pass out. They've had to bring people back out. You're only allowed to be in there for half an hour because of the pollens and stuff like that, especially at those times of the year.
Right.
Yeah, so they've got some really interesting plants, and that, but some of them you have to be a little bit more cautious of. It's the same thing as every mushroom is edible, some of them only once.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
So same thing.
Right.
But you need to know what you're doing.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those books will definitely help you, or you can reach out to, there's more and more certified herbalists popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
So, get in touch with them, or get in touch with one of the naturalist doctors who,
Yeah.
they call it homeopathic
I
doctors,
would
something like that.
My personal thing is this: you want to find someone with at least 10 to 20 years experience.
Right.
Yes, people have to learn. Okay. But if you
Right.
are seriously looking at switching over to herbal medicine for your health
Right.
and to remove, other
Toxins.
pharmaceuticals from you, you have to go to someone who's got 10 to 20 years experience.
Right.
Okay. Because the certification for herbalism, you can literally do in a week.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It's all done online. So, over here, you can practice as a herbalist. They prefer you have the certification, but you don't have to be certified.
Right.
But you can be insured once you're certified, but you can't be if you're not.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so people who aren't certified tend to not be insured. The guys who have just had their course and gone, oh yeah, I've just done this course, isn't it exciting? Okay, the little fluffy bunnies, we call them,
Right.
tend not to be insured either. Okay, but you need to be protected as well if anything
Absolutely.
doesn't go right.
Yep.
So just be aware, and yeah.
So I kind of like this. You wouldn't go to a masseuse who just got out of school.
No, not unless
You
they
know?
told you and it was an experimental kind of practice session.
Right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go to an acupuncturist who just got out of school, right? Or a chiropractor that just got out of school, right? At least
Yeah.
I wouldn't. And I understand, like you said,
Yeah.
everybody needs to learn, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to be the guinea pig that they learn on.
No. But I mean, like I was a guinea pig for my friend. She started learning Bowen therapy, but she already had a whole heap of other qualifications under her, and she's done a lot of different natural therapies for a lot of years. So
Right.
I said to her, yeah, sure, go ahead. You can't make my back any worse than it already is. Let's be fair.
Right.
And it turned out that she actually saved my back.
That's awesome.
Because at that point it was in a cascading collapse.
Oh,
The discs
wow.
were in cascading collapse.
Right.
And I'd lost 5 discs at that point. So she actually stopped it from happening. Because if it had gone any further, I could have ended up completely unable to walk, unable to do anything, and in a wheelchair permanently. So, yeah, and I was facing a lot of nasty surgery that wasn't guaranteed.
Right. Yeah. My stepdad, he has a lot of back trouble, and they've did like 5 or 6 operations on him, and they want to go back and do more, and my mom's like, at what point do you just say they didn't work and just deal with the pain? And I know that sounds horrible to say.
Yeah.
But every surgery he has, it might get better for a week or two, but then it's worse than it was before the surgery when it does start hurting. And they'll just keep doing surgery after surgery after surgery if you let them.
Yeah.
But at what point do you just say, okay, it hurts, but I know if I keep on, it's going to hurt worse. So I better just
Yeah.
stop here, you know?
Well, that's what I do. I mean, like I live when I say to doc, they say to me, "What's your pain levels?" I said, "Well, there's something you need to understand about me. I live with a level 8, 9 pain every single day."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, you can't be doing that. You're functioning." Well,
Right.
actually, I do. I have to function. You're not going to come to my house and clean it. You're not going to come and do my dishes. You're not going to come and do the things that I need to do in my day to function. So I have to live with it. They're starting to realize now that people with chronic pain conditions hide their pain so well that when they do actually ask for help, it's at a level that would literally make somebody else throw up or pass out.
Pass out. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. But we're sitting there quite calmly going, I need help.
Yep.
And they don't get that.
No.
And I hate to bring up the fact that I'm a woman, but women's pain in particular is ignored or laughed at for the most part. You know,
Yep.
When I was in labor with my son, I was offered an aspirin. And I said to them, "What do you want me to do? Strap that to my forehead? Because that's as much good as it's going to do. Let's be fair."
Right.
You know, so that's the kind of level of stupid and ignorance, because there have been no, you look at any of the pain tests and research that have been done, most of it, I'd say 83% of it has only been done on men. And in fact, women have been excluded from these testings. So
yeah, I wonder if
women's pain doesn't matter.
I wonder if it's because I thoroughly believe that a woman has a higher pain threshold than a man.
We do, because we have to live with it, because it's not taken seriously for the most part.
Well, not only that, but you guys also, when you guys give birth,
that's slightly different, because at that point there is a chemical release,
right,
that actually neurologically works to make you forget the pain.
Really?
Within like 24 hours, 48 hours, you don't forget the trauma.
Right.
Okay, because there's always trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest. But you do forget the pain.
Right.
And that's a chemical release that's done by your body at the time.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had to get on to the doctors when Kira was born. My wife, she was telling him, she said, she's coming. Oh, she's not. No, she's coming. Yeah. And they kept on humming around. Well, the nurse came in and I said, she's coming. She was like, what do you mean she's coming? I said, she's coming. And she's like, here comes, her head's crowning, right? And the nurse was like, oh, and I was like,
yeah,
she's been telling y'all for like an hour now, like she knows when the baby's coming. I mean, she would know, you know what I mean? And so me and the nurse were standing there. The nurse ran out and said, hey, y'all need to get in here. The baby's coming. She comes back in. I'm delivering Kira. Okay. Like, like she's popping out.
Because there's no one else to catch at that end.
right. And I'm standing there with my daughter's head in my hand. Okay. And she's coming out. And the doctor comes in with 2 or 3 med students and says, he's over at the door. He says, now, what do you want to bet? She's face up or face down when she comes out?
I'll be like,
and
get back out of there.
I lost it. And my wife is sitting there going, what did you say? And I'm like, the exorcist is coming out, right? Like, so I'm like, so anyhow, she comes out. I'm the one that delivered her pretty much up to her thighs. All right.
Yeah.
And then the rest come out, and the actual doctor that was supposed to be in there, she comes in. She was a med student as well, but she was there doing something else, like her, I forget what they call it. Anyhow, she was doing that. And so whenever all that was done and they were ever cleaning up Kira and everything, I went over to the doctor and the 2 or 3 med students. I said, how professional is it that you come into the room while she's sitting here giving birth and placing bets on whether my daughter was face up or face down when she come out?
Yeah.
Well, we're sorry. We wasn't. I was like, you was over laughing and joking. about whether my daughter's head was face up or face down.
Yeah.
I was like, just get out of here, you know?
Yeah.
And you're right, you know, like the same thing with Malachi. So Malachi was born 27 weeks utero, and they had been giving magnesium to her for 2 days, trying to make sure he did not come. All right.
Yeah.
And they had done maxed her out on magnesium. And she was like, he's coming. No, no, he's not coming. He's not coming. Well, I'm sitting there watching the machine. I was like, the contractions are getting shorter. He's coming. Go get the doctor. Guess what? It was the same woman doctor from the time before.
Wow.
Because it was only a year apart, and it was the same day a year apart. Yeah, because both of them was born on my birthday a year apart.
Yeah.
So, anyways, she was there again. Residence. She was doing her residency. That's what it was. And so we got stuck with the same lame brain, right? And she comes in there, you know. Well, she wouldn't come in. She was downstairs and would not come up. She was downstairs in the OB clinic and wouldn't come up. And I kept. Well, finally it got really bad, and my wife's sitting there going, "You got to get me out of here. He's coming out now. Like he was breech. He come out butt first, okay." And I was like, "If you don't go get somebody, he's going to die." And that's exactly how I said it to that nurse. And she ran out of the room. They come in all suited up and take her to the emergency surgery room, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. And then I got suited up, went in there, and I just did get in there. He came out in the hallway, by the way. They didn't even make it to the surgery room. He came out in the hallway, and at 2 pounds, you know, like literally just
tiny wee thing.
Right. And they took him out, rushed him over to the NICU. I just did get in when they were clipping him and getting him in the little incubator thingy and rushing him off to the NICU. And so anyhow, I was livid. I was very, very mad. And they knew I was mad because when I was suiting up to go to the surgery room, I was in there and I was giving them all fit, all the nurses and stuff. And so the doctors come back, the residency one that we dealt with the year before. And I had to bring to her attention, like, you know, you did this to us last year. She told you the baby was coming and you stayed down in the OB. I was like, and then I was the one that delivered my daughter. A year to the day later, I just about delivered my son in here. I was like, because you guys wouldn't listen to her. And I mean, I went on this whole, you know, big long spiel about, you know, if he dies because of your negligence and stuff, you know, like, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to live with it? Is that okay? Is that acceptable that a kid dies because you were negligent and you didn't listen to the mother? You know, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. They don't listen, and it's doctors as a whole, not just men, but women too. Women won't listen to them either. It's like they get that degree, and all of a sudden they know more than what your body knows.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that kind of like what you think?
Yeah, so I've been dealing with this all my life, obviously, you know.
Right.
I have had more than my fair share of miscarriages over the years. Most of them weren't investigated, never investigated. And they always put it down to my weight. Now, when they started blaming my weight, I was a size 10.
Right.
You could have blown me over in a wind.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So it wasn't that. And, you know, if I'd lost any more weight, because I've actually got a decently sized bone structure.
Right.
You would have been seeing my ribs. And that's not healthy for anybody.
No, absolutely not.
And in fact, you kind of could when I was a size 10. And I said, well, where would you like me to lose it from?
Right.
You know, where would you like it to go from? I actually lifted up my top because I'm that kind of person, and I was back then as well. You know, it's like, get your freaking attention.
Right. I know what you mean.
But number one, that's their go-to every single time. Okay. Yep. Number two, once you've had kids, they turn around and go, well, that's motherhood. So if you're tired and in pain and all of that kind of stuff, and it could be something completely different, oh, no, that's just motherhood. Really?
No.
Okay. I have complex PTSD because of the way that I've been treated over the years by doctors and medical staff.
Right.
I'm facing major surgery in a couple of weeks' time to fix an issue. I know for a fact, number one, they're going to say something about my weight. Number two, they're not going to take any kind of, and to be fair, yes, I'm bigger. I am a lot bigger these days, but that weight piled on very, very quickly when I moved here because one, I went into perimenopause. So there was a load of hormonal stuff going on there that just started piling everything on.
Right.
And number two, the doctors wouldn't listen. They said, oh, no, you're too young. I was 45.
Right.
That's not too young.
Nope.
Perimenopause can start at 35 years old.
Yep.
I was ignored completely to the point where I ended up with major health issues the year before last. And, ended up having to have blood transfusions and all kinds of stuff going on. And they're like, oh, yeah, but it's perimenopause. I went, and yet I was here 6 months ago asking you guys this, and you said, oh, no, it's not that because you're too young. Really? The amount of gaslighting that goes on between doctors, whether it's your GP or the staff at the hospitals, the specialists, is ridiculous.
It is.
And it has to stop.
Yep.
It has to stop because women are dying.
Yep, absolutely.
Women's health is not being taken seriously. And in a lot of cases, men's health.
Yeah. Well,
but men's health is being taken a lot more seriously than women's health because women are seen as whiners and complainers and,
And they're really not. I mean,
no, we're really not.
No, I've watched my wife go through tons and tons of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like, that don't make sense. I'm very vocal. She is not. So I push doctors, and so she always has me go with her because she knows that if anything, makes a light bulb go off in my head, I'm automatically, well, what about this? What about that? And I mean, I'll push and push and push. And in fact, that's what I did with Malachi. When her water broke at 16 weeks, the doctor told her, said, well, go over here and we'll go ahead and pull him out of there.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean pull him out? He's got a heartbeat. Oh, yeah, but he won't make it. He'll die. No, he won't die unless God takes him. He's not dying. As long as he's got a heartbeat, then you're going to figure out how to make him stay in there.
Yeah.
And they wanted her to, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted her to go over there, Now, she'd already lost, we already lost our first baby at 38 weeks utero. Yeah. And so, he was fine 1 minute and he was gone the next. And so I'm very, very protective over her and over the kids, because of that.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, well, we already lost one. And if you make her go over there and abort a living one, that's going to kill her.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you figure it out and you make that baby stay in there until God says otherwise, and she ended up, like I said, God worked it out and he's here, he's healthy, he's fine. That doctor is still amazed at how in the world that even happened.
See, I take Tanny to the hospital with me when I'm going into the surgery. He's got to be there, and the reason is that he has to hold me back if they start, because I am now at a point where if I hear anything that is a negative, lazy doctoring comment, I will absolutely lose
Go off. You're right. And you
my
should.
beloved mind. And,
Right.
you know, that if I'm waking up from surgery and they start that,
Right.
that is not going to be good for me.
No, because you
You
won't
know,
be in
it's
your
not
right
going to
mind
be
at
good for
first.
them either, because come hell or high water, I will come out swinging.
Right.
You know, which is why he's going to be there, because, you know, they need security from me. You know,
Right. but it is a shame. It is a shame though that they
yeah,
don't pay more attention to people.
I,
I've watched my mother-in-law struggle with multiple different things. She's now got a bone cancer and
wow.
and stuff, and no doctors. Oh, we don't think it's this. Well, now we think it's this. Oh, we don't think it's that. Now we think it's. She had breast cancer in 2011 and
Yeah.
in 2012. You know, that was kind of a split year there. And she's been on and off sick ever since then. And in 2015, they told her she had lung cancer. And I mean, it looked bad, but then all of a sudden the spots were gone on her lungs and stuff, you know. And you know, we believe that, you know, God healed her from it, but you know, you tell doctors that stuff and they're like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But
There's one big trigger switch that you can actually pull on tumors and stuff. Do you know what it is?
I don't.
Sugar.
Oh yeah, I did tell her that. I told
Get
her.
rid of it.
Yep.
Any refined carbohydrates and sugar, because they actually feed
it. Yep.
tumors.
Yep. And that's what I told her. I told Annie to tell her mom to dump the sugar, get rid of all the sugar.
Get rid of it.
Yep. And then I don't want to say it on here, but there is something that you can use in a nebulizer.
Yes.
That's you know, something that we put on cuts, you know.
Yep.
And you can use that in a nebulizer to help because cancer cannot live in an alkaline body. It has to. It wants acidic.
Yep.
So you research alkaline and stuff, and that'll help you out on there. There's tons of stuff that I've learned, forced myself to learn because of her and my dad. My dad, he struggles with cancers as well. Don't think I could get him to try any of the stuff because you know I don't think he fully buys into it.
No, I don't get that.
Yeah, right. I get it too. You know what I mean? But I learned it because of that. You know.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see either one of them die. You know.
Well, see, we only have the medical system we have now because of the Rothschilds.
Yeah, which one of them just died the other day.
Well, good. That's one less of them in the world. I'm sorry. Right. I know that sounds awful, but good, because they are one of the most evil families on the planet.
Yep, absolutely.
They really, really are. You know, one less is not a problem as far as I'm concerned.
Get rid of the whole bunch of them.
But it was the Rothschilds who went and started paying universities to teach doctoring in the way that we know it now. They took out all the herbalism. They took out all the natural stuff. They took out all the things that people could do for themselves. They took out all the nutrition. Now, they all have to take the Hippocratic Oath.
Yep.
Now, Hippocrates was let food be your medicine, medicine be your food.
Right.
Okay? That's the predominant thing. And back in the day, that's what they were teaching.
Yep.
It was all about your nutrition. They knew that there was a correlation between your nutrition and your physical and mental health.
Right.
Now they're not allowed to teach that. Now they are basically overpaid pill pushers.
Yep. And they get money from the pills that they push.
Oh, yeah.
You know, large checks. Take
this.
Take that.
We watched, I mean, there was 2 incidents. Okay. So gabapentin.
Yep. That's a huge one over here.
Oh, it's massive over here at the moment. They're giving it to everyone who's on fibromyalgia.
Yep.
And it literally happened within 3 months in the small town that I used to live in, where it went from one person being on it to probably everybody I knew was being given gabapentin. And I was like, why is everyone on gabapentin? It's for epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no correlation between it and pain relief. There is none.
No, none
Because
at all.
Zero. And the only reason I know it's for epilepsy is because my mum has epilepsy and she's on gabapentin for it. You know, so why are they giving it to people just for pain relief?
Yeah,
or
don't do anything for the pain.
Because it doesn't work that way.
No, it's not meant to work that way.
No, but it's called all kinds of things now. I mean, it's like there's gabapentin, there's Lyrica, there's another one, and it's all the same.
Yep.
It's all the same thing. But they pushed it so hard that like probably, yeah, like I said, everybody that I knew all of a sudden was on this gabapentin stuff. And I'm like, they're all of a sudden walking around like zombies.
They've done class that as a narcotic here.
Yeah. Well, it is.
It's like there's nothing in it that's there's nothing in it to get high on.
No, but it's incredibly addictive.
Yeah. So
it's incredibly addictive.
Crazy though.
You know, and the other one that I've noticed because I went through all the women's stuff was the IUD stuff.
Mm-hmm. That stuff's bad.
And I was like, because I mean, like, too much information probably, but I had major issues with fibroids. And they wanted to do this IUD thing. And I went, no.
Right.
And they said, well, why not? And I said, well, 83% of women that have this, or no, actually it's 87% of women who have this, have to have it removed.
Mm-hmm.
Because it moves.
Yep.
How do you know
that? It into the cervical walls.
I'm not an idiot and I do my research.
Right.
How about you? Everyone that I saw in the gynecology unit, every single one of them was badgering me to have this IUD. And I said, how much are you being paid? Eventually, I lost it. I went, how much are you being paid to push this on me?
Yep.
How much? Because you're obviously being paid per one. Because right now you're acting like a
salesman.
Yeah, a drug seller.
Yeah.
You know, no, I don't do pushy sales. I never have.
Me neither.
You know, if you're going to walk around me behind the shop, you better be like a store detective.
Right.
You know, because otherwise you can go away.
Yep.
You know, but it was just constant. And I said to them, what is the point of me having this when I have these things that are trying to expel themselves
from
my body, and you're trying to put a barrier in the way of that? I said, how stupid are you really? I mean, honestly, how stupid? And I said this to her, and she was the head of the gynecology unit. And I said, honestly, how dumb are you? I said, because the idea will be then that I will go septic. You'll have to take everything out.
Right.
I said, if you want to go that way, fine. Just take it all out now. I don't care. I'm not using it. You know, because I'm 50 now. You know?
Right.
My kids are grown. You know, we've got grandkids. I can give them back. You know,
right. There you go.
So it's like, you know, they're pushing this stuff really hard, and people now are like, the younger generations, they don't know how to stand up for themselves anymore.
Nope, they don't.
So they're being pushed into these situations, and it's more because everyone's like coddles everybody and won't have big conversations.
Right.
And so they don't know how to have conversations, and they're texting all the time, and they're on social media all the time, and everything's so quick.
Yep.
And they leave a thing and leave a comment and run away, and nobody knows who they are and all of that kind of stuff. So they don't know how to have a conversation. They don't know how to have a discussion. They don't know how to have a debate.
Right.
They don't know how to listen to actually learn. They know how to listen to react, but they don't know how to listen to learn.
Right.
And it's all like, you've got a bunch of adults and kids coming up now that are all stuck in the playground.
Pretty much. That's exactly what it is. You know,
because they're still like, you know,
they've never been, they've been coddled to the point where decision making makes them have anxiety. Right. And it's like, no, it's just, it's a yes or a no. It's a this or a that,
Yeah.
And then I think that some of it has to do with when, like, if let's say if they had to go to the doctor or anything, they don't know how to express themselves in a way that are to where they don't know how to express themselves in a way that is valid to where they get their point across. And as soon as somebody says, and it doesn't matter who it is, right? It doesn't matter who or what it is. As soon as that somebody says, well, this is the way of it, and this is all you need, then they accept that for the truth and they keep on going with it, which that's not how the world works. When I go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, I want you to take this, and I say, well, is there something else I can take than that?
Yeah.
What's the other option? Right. Yeah. I want to know. I don't want to know just what you want me to do or take. I want to know what the other option is, because if there's an A, B, and C, I want to know what the A, B, and C is, so I can choose which one it is. I mean, I don't want your first answer. And if you can't give me an A, B, and C, I'll find a doctor that can give me an A, B, and C, because there's one out there. You know what I mean? And it's like that with everything, not just doctors, but anything, right? I mean, you go to a car lot and you go to buy a car and you ask the guy about this car and he only tells you this, but you want to know more, but he won't tell you. You go to the next car lot to where you get the answer that you're looking for, right? I mean, but we've coddled the kids so much to where they don't know how to function in this world like that.
No.
All they know is to take whatever's given at first and then just go about their day.
Yeah.
They don't question anything. They just, okay.
So I question everything. I don't believe anything that people tell me unless I can look it up myself.
Right. My uncle told me when I was growing up.
Obviously, I know them,
right.
but that's partly because I'm autistic and have ADHD.
Right.
That's just the way my mind works, is I have to check everything. I have to check my stats. I have to check my research. I have to check everything.
I understand.
And triple check it, because I don't want to.
I understand.
Wrong,
yeah.
Well,
my uncle told me when I was growing up, and I've always remembered this. He said, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see.
Yeah.
If that was ever more true, it would be now.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember when I was 5, my dad turned around to me. He used to get the Canberra Times, the local paper. My dad used to be one of the assistant secretaries for defence in Australia. So he's quite high up, knew what he was doing. This was a guy who was on the ball. And he said to me one day, he said, only believe 25% of what's in the paper.
Right.
It was 45 years ago.
Right.
Like, can you imagine how much that's dropped?
And the 25% was probably all about the football, the cricket, and stuff like that. The rest of it was
it's probably like one word in 10 or something.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's like, you need to learn to read the paper and see what it's actually saying.
Yep.
But it's like, and that was back then.
Yeah.
He said, because they won't tell you everything.
No, they don't.
I mean, he was very onto it.
That's funny. That's funny, even back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy how different the world is, and just even since growing up, in the late 80s, early 90s, I go back to places where I've went to school at. I go back and I'll look at across the playground, and I can still, not physically see myself, but remember, well, I was over there on that jungle gym or that swing set or that whatever at this time playing. And I can remember all these great, wonderful times. Right. And then I look back and I'm looking at my kids and I'm like, I don't think they're making the same great memories I made.
No.
Because it's not the same world that we grew up in.
No.
And that to me is sad.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
It's
is.
very, very sad.
I've said to Tanny, if we had more kids, if we had our own kids now, they'd be homeschooled. There'd be no question. There'd be no argument. There'd be no conversation, no discussion over it, nothing. They would be homeschooled. Because I've seen what they're teaching in the hot schools now, and I've seen what they're not teaching in the schools now. And as far as I'm concerned, no.
Right.
I'm not paying stupid amounts of money for free education for my kids not to learn how to read and write. Because a bunch of the kids that are coming out now aren't learning to read and write.
Right.
They're illiterate.
And what are we sending them there for? To learn how to play on their iPads?
Apparently so.
I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Was this? And we homeschool here, so I love homeschooling.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was hearing someone on the streets talk about Ryan's glow-in-the-dark stuff they ordered. Oh, yeah? What was it, good or bad there, Heather? Huh? We want to know. So, but yeah, I mean, it is homeschooling. It's difficult, but I'm gonna tell you now, my kids, I know what my kids are being taught.
Mm-hmm.
I have control of that, and that gives me peace of mind. Okay, and I'm creating in them the mindset that they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
That they're not limited to, that they can be entrepreneurs. I'm not letting some teacher somewhere say, you're not going to be successful if you don't pass this test, or you're not going to do this if you can't do that,
I mean, we've got 5-year-olds having nervous breakdowns over here because they're doing these state regulated testing.
Right.
And I'm like, they're 5. Every 5-year-old I ever met was too interested in eating worms and mud still.
That's what they should be interested in. That's what they should be doing. But you know what boggles my mind is America is like on the bottom of the totem pole for education in the world, right?
And yet most of the Western countries are following suit.
Right.
It's been known for a long time that Australia was following the American standardized education system. England isn't much better. Let's be honest, it's not. There are some good teachers out there. Don't get me wrong. There are good teachers out there.
There are.
But there's a lot of stuff that's coming into schools now that doesn't belong there.
Right.
And it does not belong there.
For all
and
the
teachers are coming in to teach that stuff that does not belong there.
Right.
And they have an agenda to do so because they're openly talking about it.
Right. For all the good teachers that are out there, there's not enough of them to combat the stuff that's there.
There really is. They're being bullied now by the system to do the same. And it's not okay.
Right. And so right now in West Virginia, it's like at an all-time high for homeschooling right now. And it probably is in a majority of states. But it's good because, like I said, I got control of everything, and I don't like it necessarily because I wish that they could go to school and just be kids and learn, right?
Yeah.
And have those school friends and stuff. But I mean, let's be honest. How many of your school friends did you really keep in touch with after school? Yeah.
I've got a couple.
I've only got like one or two.
Schools, you know, that, I've only got probably 2 people that I still keep in touch with.
Right. And that's how I am. I don't have very many either. Let's see here. Public expenditures. Holy cow, that's a lot of money, Tony.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's say they're following Japan, but ask Japan the kids questions on the streets. They can't answer them. They're trained to take tests. Yep.
Yeah.
They do get a lot of money from us. here in West Virginia, they passed a law where the homeschooled kids, the parents are going to start getting the money back that they pay out in taxes that would have been allotted for the county. They're going to be getting
Yeah.
the money back, so that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
But yeah, I mean, it's sad. The situation as a whole is sad, and it's just unless people wake up and really desire. It's one thing to wake up. It's another thing to wake up and desire the change and do something about it.
Yeah.
And until it gets to that point,
Yeah.
we will never see anything change.
So this is the thing that people, they see the big issues and they're like, well, I can't do anything about it. Well, yeah, you can start with yourself.
Right, exactly.
We might not be able to take on the big issue, but if enough people start doing for themselves,
right,
and then they find that they've got a community of people who are doing for themselves,
right,
so that becomes a bigger support network and a bigger community.
Yep.
Eventually that community gets bigger to the point where the others don't have a chance.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yep.
And that's the way to do it. And people just go, oh, but like people here, they're too exhausted.
It's like
they're exhausted.
Oh, I always hear this. Well, I'm not going to make a difference. No, you alone might not make a difference, but you deciding to do different might intrigue somebody else to do different, and everybody and so on and so forth, to where, like you said, it becomes a community, and then you have enough people banded together that that change comes about. But as long as you're not doing anything, you're just going to sit on the sideline and watch it burn. Well, of course, you're not going to make a difference.
Well, no, exactly. Yeah, no, Germany has completely outlawed homeschooling.
Really?
Which is why those who want to homeschool have moved to Austria, Switzerland, Bavaria.
That is France. Crazy that a country could do that.
Oh, well,
Yep.
They're good.
My stepdad's from Germany.
I've got friends in Germany, that are the loveliest people, but they're just as open to turn around and say, well, we have got history of telling people what to do, and
right. And if you don't like it, they do other things to you.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
It is, but it's just the way of the world, I guess.
It is. It's always somebody wanting to be in charge.
Yeah.
And tell everybody what to do.
Yeah. It's that big kid in the playground that everyone didn't like, that used to steal their lunch money until someone actually stood up to them and sort of like knocked their knees out from underneath them.
Right.
Don't know who that was. Yeah.
That's funny. So, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you would like to discuss?
I don't know. I just turned up.
Let's see. Iceland has the best.
It's been lots of fun, though.
It has been.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this. This has been a great conversation. One of the best ones that I've had on here for a long time. It's been a very good one. Yeah. Yeah. Because we've been able to talk about a lot of different things, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
And you've had lots of good stats from over there and stuff. And those, I'm sure those mirror a lot of what goes on over here.
Yeah.
So it's been a wonderful,
absolutely
wonderful talk.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Following close.
Yeah. See, if we took more listening to what Iceland has done over the years, we'd probably be a lot better off. So the women in Iceland in the 1970s all went on strike, every single one of them. Whether they worked or they didn't work, they walked out of their houses and just went, nah, not having this anymore. We want equal rights. We want equal pay. We want to be paid if we're housewives. All of this stuff. We want our own spaces. We want it to be a safe environment. It took a week. I would say that a lot of the men ran out of clean undies at that point. And
I would say so.
Yeah. But they just walked out. and that was it. And then all of a sudden they have the greatest equality across the board in the world. There's none of this so-and-so gets that much for doing the same job as this person because one's wearing a skirt and one's not.
Right.
They have to be paid exactly the same.
And that's only fair.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's but there's so much, like here in America, there's so much things, and I'm not saying this as a whole, but as far as equality goes for like our children over here, right? The men get crapped on, and the women get the upper hand right off the bat, I got my oldest son right in here, right? And horrible situation that he was forced to live in. And no matter what I went to say at court, didn't matter.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. His mom, she's in prison, right? But the damage is already done. He's already an adult now. You didn't listen to me when I begged and pleaded for you to investigate what was going on and get him out of there and to force her to obey the laws, right? You didn't want to hear that. But now I have an adult son who is, for lack of better words, kind of frail.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was put in so many bad situations that it hurt him.
Yeah. Whereas if one thing is for every year of trauma, it takes a year to heal, but you have to put in a lot of the work to do that.
Right. And if he would have been with me, that wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that goes on over here. It
goes on over here as well.
Right.
And there's now laws in place though that if a mother is seen, or even a father is seen to be purposefully doing something against the other parent to stop them with access or any of that kind of stuff or whatever, it's an immediate 4-year sentence.
See, I wish it was like that over here.
Yeah, but I can't tell you how often that's been used.
Right.
Because I know from friends of mine that they haven't dared do anything because they're scared to do something about it, when in reality they should be doing something about it, because what they're doing is using children as a shield and a weapon.
Yep.
And children aren't weapons.
As a pawn.
Yeah. They're not weapons. They're not shields. They're not pawns. They are children and they're there to be cherished.
That's right.
And no matter what you think of the other parent, unless there's a safety risk, a real safety risk.
Yep.
That parent should be part of their lives. Now,
absolutely.
You need to suck it up and be adult.
Yep.
But we have a bunch of kids having kids that don't know how to be adults and how to have that relationship with the ex.
Right.
So it's all about dissing the ex and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. It's very, very, it's sad, because in December, he writes me and says, "Hey, are you my dad?" Yeah, I am. He's like, "Well, can we meet?" Yeah, we can. Definitely. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
But, and he was like, "I can't believe that I was lied to. I can't believe that, she did this and hid and manipulated and all." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." And he was like, it just blew me away, and then you get to hear about all the things, and it's like, and then I'm like, well, here's when I went to court for this, and here's the answer that the judge said, and, and because, I didn't want him to think that I didn't want anything to do with him, but it's a screwed up system that upholds all that allows for fabrication and stuff. Right. And, it's a shame, because they're the ones that suffer.
Absolutely.
Well, and the parent, the other parent suffers right along with them.
Yeah.
Because your hands are tied. There's nothing you can
Mhm.
do. You can go to court, you can make your appeal and all this stuff, but if the courts are just like, meh, whatever, and don't force the other parent to do anything, then I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Exactly.
Right.
I think basically what's happened, to be honest, is for many, many years when women didn't really have any rights on their own. They weren't allowed to have bank accounts. If they left the house, they had to leave the children behind. All of this kind of stuff, even if they were, you know, escaping major violence. All right.
Right.
They had to leave the kids there. They couldn't take the kids with them. Otherwise, the police would come, take the kids off and take them back to their fathers. Why? Because he was the breadwinner. He was the one with the money. Had
Right.
nothing to do whether he was a good person or not. Had to do with who he was.
Right.
And those children at the time, they were written down as his property.
Right.
So, and that didn't really stop until the 70s. Now, all of a sudden, we've gone completely the other way.
No middle. Again, one extreme to the other.
There's no middle again. And it's this issue with not having a middle.
Yep.
And you've got to be one way or you've got to be the other. And it's like, no, thanks.
Right. There's a middle. There's a path where everybody does good.
Middle doesn't mean that you're popping out. It means that you're actually walking a much tighter path than you think.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's easy for somebody to be far left or far right. That's easy.
Yeah.
But to truly hold the middle line, it's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Because you are seriously trying to balance everything. When you're somebody who truly holds to the middle of issues,
yeah,
you are literally trying to walk a tightrope and balance everything.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. That's how life should be, is a balancing act, and
it's about knowing what's right and wrong.
Right.
At the end of the day, you have to know what's right and wrong, and it's not about compromise. You don't compromise. There is no compromise.
That's right.
There's learning, and you may learn something along the way that will change your mind.
Right.
But that's okay, But I think if you're going to be extremely one side or the other, you have to make compromises with your own ethics, your own morals, your own feelings, your own, all of that to stay on that side. No, I'm not willing to compromise that.
No.
I know what's right and wrong. I know, because whoever it is put it there.
Right.
They gave me that.
Right.
They gave me that discernment. So therefore, I'm going to carry that through. I'm not going to make a compromise on that. Why am I going to make a compromise on that? Everybody else is making all these compromises, and look where we are.
Exactly. We can't decide which bathrooms to use.
Don't.
That's
an off-camera conversation, but I get it.
I mean, that's where we're at. We can't decide. We've compromised to that point. And how much more compromising are we going to do before we're just back crap crazy? I mean, we're pretty much there, but I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse. So
absolutely.
I'm totally on the same page with you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, is there anything you want to tell everybody watching? Because we've been on here for 2 hours, and I think I'm gonna have to let you go.
You might need some sleep, eh?
Yeah, just maybe a little bit. Go in there and rub my wife's back a little bit.
To work,
Do what?
Tally's snuck off to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he was kind of hoping that I'd make his sandwiches this morning. Yeah, he's off to the bakery for breakfast. Yeah, that's not.
What time is it there?
It's 4:10 in the morning.
Okay, all right. Well,
so yeah.
but I really do appreciate you coming on here. This has been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun. So you've been really good. And Tony, if you're still watching, when I say that this was a great conversation, it wasn't to bash you, Tony. I know you know that already. I know you know that already. But all the conversations that we have here are very good and very meaningful. But they're all different.
Yeah.
And this one has been one of the most unique conversations that I have had in doing this a little over a year, because we've been very open, we've been very honest, and very unfiltered with what we've talked
I don't
about.
know how to be any other way.
I don't either.
And that's why I have to be so careful.
Right.
Because, you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it.
Right. I'm the same way.
I don't know how to.
I am who I am.
Be that person. So
right.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm the same way. I am who I am.
Yeah.
But I know you, so it's easier knowing you to be able to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Some of the people I only know in talking back and forth on a text or something like that. So I don't really know them yet, so that's why I'm not so free about how to, talking with them. But it's been a very good conversation. I really enjoyed having you on, and I'd love to have you again in the future to have another conversation. Maybe next time we get you on, we can talk about herbalism.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything now until after May.
Okay.
Because I have surgery that I have to have in a couple of weeks.
Right.
At the moment, I'm just working really hard to film and edit and upload a bunch of stuff so that my channel keeps going.
That's right.
In amongst that, I'm doing a series to replace the lives that Tony and I do on a Friday. We do a practical budgeting live, which covers all sorts of different areas on a microcosm. So it's got a thing. So I'm actually doing a dream wish list of hand tools and hand equipment.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's going to be based on different sections of the household and running a household and stuff like that on a more self-sufficient level.
Right.
Some of the stuff's a little bit kooky.
Right.
But, I never said that it was, everybody had to get the stuff. I never said that I'm going to get all of the stuff, because I probably won't. It's just my dream wish list for certain hand equipment, because I think, hand equipment's really important.
Absolutely.
You got no electric or gas. What are you going to do?
Yep.
Hew a tree down?
Right.
You're not a beaver.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You're not a beaver. You can't do that.
You can't do that. You're not a beaver,
Yep.
If you got no other way of cooking except for fire, have you done it before?
Right.
It's about having the stuff and learning the skills, and and also looking into the fact that you need to know how to use this stuff if you are going to get it, because it's no good just having it in the cupboard just in case, because when the just in case turns up, you don't know how to use it properly.
Yeah, you don't want to sit there and try to learn how to do it,
Yeah.
One of my good friends who blew up on TikTok, 7 Ken Homestead.
Wow.
They got huge on TikTok also. And they're like over 500,000 followers now.
Yeah.
He always tells a story about the first night that they went to their off-grid property. He had never been off-grid before. He knew nothing about it. And here he is trying to make a fire with wet wood. Yeah. And he finally remembered he had a MAP gas torch in the vehicle, and went and got that and just turned it on and let it sit there until everything caught fire. Right.
Yeah.
And he said, I was not prepared for that journey at all. No. I knew nothing. No. And I think a lot of times people, that looks cool because they've seen it online somewhere, in a video or whatever. And they said, I'm going to get that for just in case. They get it and they never use it to learn how to use it for that just in case moment. So then when the just in case comes, they don't know what to do with it.
No.
It's like buying a can of bear spray and never trying to use it and just carrying it with you. And then here comes the bear and you don't know how to pull the pin and squirt the stuff because you never tried. You know,
You never try. It's like using a fire extinguisher.
right? Exactly.
You
Right.
know, you got to know that the bigger they are, the more kickback you're going to get on those things.
Right. Right.
And they have kickback.
They absolutely do because they're pressurized.
You know, and you're going to be able to control them because that's pressure.
Yep. So I totally understand. I totally get it. So I think that's going to be a cool series. Very cool series. So tell everybody where they can find you at.
I'm on Bloo Reliance pretty much everywhere. You can find me here on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Rumble. I'm on Reddit, I think. I know that I'm on Threads. I know that I'm on Blue Sky.
Everywhere.
Bloo Reliance, it's me, you know.
Everywhere. That's cool.
And that's pretty much it. Yep.
Awesome. So, guys, I'm going to go over the list real quick of who we got coming up next, and then we'll cut everybody loose for the night. So, let's see here. What month are we in? Okay, March. Man, this year's going by so fast. So, March 19th, which is next week, we have a live stream / pre-record. That's going to be, it's already up, it's already on, but you can't watch it until it drops next week at 8 p.m. with John Kohler from growyourgreens.com. You can check him out on YouTube, John Kohler, growingyourgreens.com. He's got almost 1 million subscribers. He sat down with me. We had an hour-long conversation about our food that we grow and how he inspired me to grow better and eat healthier food. So awesome guy. Highly recommend this video coming out next week. So there won't be a live stream, but there is a pre-recorded live stream that will drop next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. March 26th, I am going to say that I don't have anybody yet, but I'll find somebody. I didn't get that one nailed down. So unless this person says, yeah, between now and then, which I don't think they're going to, I'm going to have to find somebody. April 2nd, we've got Aileen from Welcome to My Kitchen. April 9th, we've got Marco from Agro Thrive, which is one of our new sponsors this year for growing. Go check out Agro Thrive, if you will. And I think I got a link too. I'll have to post that somewhere. But anyways, Agro Thrive, great product. Used it last year. They became a sponsor this year. Cannot wait to start using it again this year. April 16th, we got Travis Ginger and Randall from Extreme Gardening. Travis Ginger's the world record holder at 2,749 pounds for a giant pumpkin. And Randall's from Extreme Gardening, which is products that I use. You can see their sign back there behind me. Jim Ford is another giant grower. We got him on April 23rd. Great guy. We're going to be here promoting something that he's got. And I'm not allowed to talk about it until that day, but check it out. Make sure you're here to check that live stream out with Jim Ford. Chad New is on April 30th from Colorado Giants. If you're not subscribed to his channel, go subscribe to him at Colorado Giants or Chad New right here on YouTube. May 8th is a Wednesday, and we've got Tony from Kettle Kitchen. He'll be on with me. And we were switching from a Tuesday to a Wednesday because he has live streams on Tuesday, so I got him on a Wednesday. April 14th, we've got Christine from Gillum Farms going to be on with us. May 21st, still trying to tack that one down. May 28th, we've got Enoch Graham, the Urban Gardener. June 4th, we're back with Giant Growers again with Zach Hatton from Hatton's Homestead. Go check out his YouTube channel if you don't mind, at Hatton's Homestead. June 11th, we've got Nick Kennedy, who is the California state record holder for the giant pumpkin at like 2,400 and some odd pounds, like 97, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, big pumpkin. June 18th, we got Adam Weber, which is another giant grower. June 25th, we've got Jesus Loving Homestead. Go check out their Instagram and their YouTube channel. Then Milk and Honey, Heather will be with us on July 2nd. Another good YouTube channel. Go check her out and subscribe to her channel. July 9th, we got Flourish Florida Farm. July 16th, we've got Michelle from Big Valley Living going to be on with us again. Cannot wait for that one as well. Go check her channel out and subscribe. July 23rd, we got Where to Begin Homestead. July 30th, we're trying to tack down. August 6th, we've got Destin from Texas Garden Guy. Go check out his YouTube channel and his Instagram as well. And we'll stop there for now. But if you guys would like to join us, the next day available would be July 30th and then August 13th. So if you want to come on and talk about something, whatever you want to do, whether it's homesteading, gardening, herbal, I don't care what it is. If you want to come on, you are more than welcome to. So all you have to do is email me at babydrill2119@yahoo.com. And that would save me from going out and seeking more people, okay? Because it is a tiresome job trying to get all these people lined up and going, okay? So if you want to join us, I would love to have you. Email me again at babydrill2119@yahoo.com, and we will get you the list of dates available, and we will get you on here. So, guys, I'm going to ask her one more time. Is there anything that we missed that you want to tell them? And
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it, Blue. It's been a great place to be.
Thanks for asking me. I really do appreciate it. Hey, it's been a lot of fun.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime, and would love to have you back. Maybe August, September timeframe, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Awesome. Awesome. So, guys, as always, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time right here in the Hollers and Hills of West Virginia. See y'all.